Good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Johnson from the United States. Today we're going to talk about a news report that I read from Algeria, which titled China is World's Biggest Jailer of Journalists. So this is a report from Reporters Without Borders, RSF. This organization has an annual press freedom index. So here is the report. In 2021, China continues to be the world's biggest jailer of press freedom defenders, RSF said, with more than 120 currently detained in the country, often in life-threatening conditions. Since the emergence of COVID-19, Chinese authorities have tightened their grip on news and information, with 7 journalists still being held for their coverage of the pandemic. Lawyer-turned-journalist Zhang Zhan is also among those in prison. She was found guilty in December of picking quarrels and provoking trouble for her reporting on the pandemic in Wuhan, where the virus was first detected. And additionally, more than 450 social media users in China were briefly arrested for sharing false rumors, quote-unquote, of the virus, RSF said. Let's talk about one example first. So everybody heard about the Chinese doctor Li Wenliang, who was arrested because he was one of the first who told the public about the virus. There are also a couple of other famous people, including Fang Bin, Zhang Zhan, and Chen Qiushi. So Fang Bin is the person who actually went to a hospital in Wuhan, and he used his cell phone to record from half a dozen to a dozen dead bodies carrying out of the hospital just within minutes. He posted his videos on social media, and the police arrested him right after. So in China, this is a common practice that if anybody exercises free speech and the government doesn't like it, the government usually would charge the person one of the 2 crimes. If the person is business person, the government would charge the person illegal tax evasion. And if the person is not a business person, the government would charge the person picking quarrels and provoking trouble. Why is that? Well, first of all, if the person is a business person, it is then very easy to find something wrong with the person's taxes, because a business owner often have large enterprises. So it is very easy to pick something wrong from the company. And also because tax is not a precise science, so as a result, tax laws and interpretations can be very vague. And there is the additional benefit of robbing the person of his or her wealth. So for somebody who is not very rich, then they can use the charge of picking quarrels and provoking trouble. As you can see, this charge is so widely defined that almost any behavior can fit into this categorization. There is also a third charge that the government would use for those political dissidents, which is prostitution. And one good example is the Tsinghua University ex-professor from the law school, Dr. Xu Zhangren. So Dr. Xu published a couple of articles criticizing the government, and right after, the government charged him with the crime of prostitution. And if you think about it, he was like more than 70 years old. And also, the 2 things coincide together. So as soon as he published those articles, he was charged with those crimes. If those things were true, if he really had some prostitutes, he could choose a better time, as long as it's not the time that right after he published those articles to criticize the government. You can find a lot of videos and also news reports about pretty much every person and every event that I mentioned here. And I encourage you to do some research and see the truth yourself. Well, thank you so much for watching today's program, and we'll see you soon.